Okay, so that we've done it. We have previewed all of that is it for preview season, and now we get into the lines. The first lines of the season. There are counted 7 week 0 games this week, ranging from 2:30 Eastern time with Navy and Notre Dame playing in Dublin. Finally, they let Notre Dame play in their home country. And this line is weird. I think this line originally started as Notre Dame minus 21.5. It's down to 20.5. So you technically have a 3 touchdown score. Over under is 50. So I will say that what I've done is I have basically run my model for how I would, if this game had happened at the end of last season with all the players the same, how my model would have liked that. And I only have Notre Dame as a 10-point favorite now, so that does not factor in Sam Hartman. So
Mm-hmm.
is Sam Hartman worth 10 points and a better offensive coordinator possibly? Maybe. I don't know. I look at this minus 20.5 and like I feel like if I don't bet this, it's gonna it's the same thing. It's the same thing as the doubling game last week. I had the big hang up about it where I was like I wanted to bet Northwestern, but I'm like no, Nebraska will finish them off. But it's like nope, they lost that. Like, no, Navy isn't gonna win this game. But like Notre Dame, like my mom was picking up that Notre Dame's offense last year was pretty bad, and like
Mm-hmm.
it now with Sam Hartman though, and Sam Hartman and a new offensive coordinator, maybe they could turn this around. I don't hate. I keep looking at that minus 20.5 and thinking, I feel like if I don't bet this, I'm going to regret it. Not like a huge regret, but I feel like I'm going to be like, it was staring you right in the face. You should have. It's Navy. You should have taken it. Do you have that thoughts on this or not? Or are you just not touching this?
Yeah, I to your question, is Sam Hartman worth 10 points? I think there's a few ways to answer that. I think versus Drew Pine, definitely. But if you kind of go to the new offensive coordinator, who was, I think, like a tight ends coach versus Tommy Reese, that becomes more of a question mark. On the other side, Navy, they fired Ken Niumatalolo, and they fired, I think, pretty much most of the folks on the offensive side of the ball. So you've got the defensive coordinator was promoted. Their defense kind of stunk last year. I think they just promoted him for continuity's sake. So I think that's going to cause a step back too, as well. When I'm for these week 0 through 3 plays and probably some of week 4, I'm using basically what I'm originating as my own lines without the model. And what I do, my process is I kind of come up with a line to say, okay, if I'm going to bet Navy, how much do I want? And if I'm going to bet Notre Dame, how much would I give? And I just average those two and maybe shade to where my bias, away from where my bias would be. So I've got a line in 26.5. But again, okay, my margin I would want is probably a touchdown. There's a good margin here, but there's so much supposition in that about Sam Hartman. I mean, we haven't seen him in offense like this at all. I mean, this is going to be more of an informative game than a game for me to play.
To be fair, the projection is with Drew Pine. So, so yeah, I do lean Notre Dame 20.5. I feel like Notre Dame comes out here, shows everybody they're the best, and then next week get destroyed by Ohio State. That seems like the Notre Dame way to me. So
Jeez.
Next game,
Wow.
Start here early. Next game, UTEP versus Jacksonville State. Welcome to the FBS Jacksonville State. You are only a 1-point dog to UTEP. Over under 53.5. I think I have a line for this game. No, I don't, because weirdly, PFF doesn't have data for Jacksonville State. I will eventually have lines for Jacksonville State, just not yet, because they're going to be they're kind of inconsistent with some FBS teams. It's like I think like FCS teams from like one conference don't have data, but everybody else does. So I don't know, whatever. But anyways, this is a stay away from me. I have no idea what's going to happen in this game. Yeah, I don't want to touch this. Do you have any thoughts on this or not?
No, just this opened. We talked about this in the Conference USA preview. This opened at Jacksonville State -2. I think it swung because I think at that point, I'm not sure. I think Tyron Smith, he was their best receiver last season for UTEP. he just came back to the team, is my understanding. So when the lines were opened in June, I think that was not certain. I can't make a basis for this line just because I have no FBS baseline data for Jacksonville State. I definitely want to watch this game though, because I love Conference USA and I want to see what they look like. Jacksonville State was successful in FCS last season too. And just for a reminder, for those who don't know, their head coach is Rich Rodriguez, who did good work at Arizona, basically everywhere except Michigan, which is interesting. So I definitely want to watch this game, but it's more just a watch and learn rather than a place to bet.
That's very fair, I think. Yeah, this is a fun game to watch and learn. That being said, we're moving on to a game that is I have a decided position on this game, or I want to take a decided position on this. Massachusetts, UMass versus New Mexico State. New Mexico State. New Mexico State only somehow, no idea how. I think I have an idea how, but somehow only laying 6.5 against one of the worst
Mm-hmm.
teams in all of FBS. My model has them as a 13.5 point favorite. And not only that, but New Mexico State is probably better than last year. So one thing I like, if you go over to alternate spreads, New Mexico State minus 20.5 plus 500.
Wow.
That is
I like
that
it.
is that's value there. And also, if you just want to go with the model says minus 13.5 plus 225, give me everything New Mexico State in this game. UMass is horrible. New Mexico State is actually a good team. I don't understand why. Like, I feel like this is the reason is because New Mexico State is not a really well-known team. So people are like, oh, New Mexico State, UMass, oh, they both suck. I think also people are like confusing New Mexico State with New Mexico. So yeah, give me everything New Mexico State in this game. Like, I literally that's the only thing I can explain this. What are your thoughts on do you have any? Are you pro UMass here?
No, come on. Would I do that? I can.
No.
So I think when we did our Conference USA preview, I think this one was like at 9. So the money's really moved. It's moved across the key number
Oh
towards
wow.
UMass. I think, you know, let's just go back for a second here. This is 2 second-year head coaches in Don Brown and Jerry Kill. Don Brown made up no ground in year one, and Jerry Kill made up a ton of ground in year one. I think that there's probably a good amount of improvement projected for UMass. I'm seeing that with their metrics on their defense, and Brown is a good defensive head coach. The offense was abysmal, though. Their offense was just really, really bad last season, like bottom 5 bad. And I can't see them really lighting up New Mexico State. I've actually got a line of 17.5 on this, so I'm definitely playing. I've got a position on New Mexico State, both giving the 6.5 and money line. I think the money line's an absolute gift here. I can't imagine. I think I'm it's like minus 250.
260. Yeah.
The other side of that, I mean, that's a 40% return on this game. Just the money line, I like it. As a reminder, for those who didn't see the preview, I'm taking New Mexico State over 6 wins. And when I did that analysis, I had this as an 85% win probability for New Mexico State. So I have to take the money line in that case. There's just a big delta between what I show and the market is. The other thing too is my guy actually has New Mexico State at plus 1,200 to win Conference USA. It's like less than half from when we did the preview. It was like 25 when we did the preview, I think, right?
I think something. Let me see. Do I still have? I got 22. Still have 22 to 1.
Wow.
But I
Okay.
might actually.
Maybe
I might have to
my
play
guy's
that
taking
actually.
some money on New Mexico State.
I might have
So
to
yeah,
play that actually. Yeah.
we both like this one. The
Yeah.
thing is too, I mean, just 6 wins and just that kind of odds, in their first year in a conference versus, I just don't see how that lines up with how bad UMass was. And again, all respect to Don Brown. He did a great job at almost everywhere as defensive coordinator, but man, this is not an easy project for him. Not a quick rebuild, I'll say that.
No, it is not. Next up, Ohio versus San Diego State. We've actually talked about this one. This line has come down a lot. It's now only Ohio plus 2.5. I still like the money line of plus 115. I have this as even between the two of them. I think I do. Let me just find that. Yeah, I have literally exactly even. We're down to hundreds of a points of difference, not even tenths of a point, hundreds of a point of difference. So I'll take a small play on the Ohio money line. I think that's their value's kind of gone. I don't love a plus 2.5 play. I'll take the money line, but it was kind of better before when it was like 3.5, but now it's down to 2.5. It's not really worth it there. Maybe you could jump back up and there's a play there, but I don't know.
Yeah, you might recall when we did the Mac preview, I was just doing analysis and not really looking at lines very much, and I was shocked that San Diego State was favored in this game. I don't know if you remember that.
Mm-hmm.
So I grabbed Ohio +3. I actually have Ohio -4, 4.5. So my guys got this down to 1.5 now. So I can't play this money line as well. But as soon as it gets above 1.5, either way, I'll definitely play money line as well. Ohio has the better quarterback. They've got clearly the better coach. Their defense, you might recall when we did the Mac preview, they really improved in the last half of last season. They actually, after week 6, they're a +1.3, and San Diego State was a +4. So they're not that far behind San Diego State's defense, but offensively, they're light years ahead. So I love this play. Like I said, I'll grab the money line once they post that. And as a reminder, I think we both had Ohio as MAC champs at. I think they were like at 300 when we did our preview. Does that sound right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. I disagree with. Yeah, I don't think San Diego State should be favored here. Another Mountain West game. Hawaii. Oh, sure. Oh, yeah, no, it is. Hawaii versus Vanderbilt. Hawaii at Vanderbilt. This is at 9:30 Eastern. Hawaii getting 17.5 points, which is, I believe, exactly what they were getting last year at Hawaii. So improvement. A couple points of improvement there. Plus 600 on the money line. I actually ran this, and I thought I was going to have Vanderbilt favored. It turns out, let me find it here. I only have Vanderbilt favored under a field goal here. So my model
What?
actually just kind of like. I know it's weird. My model weirdly likes the Mountain West, I guess. But I don't know why exactly. But like it is second year for Hawaii. I don't hate a Hawaii play here. I mean, 17.5. I mean, it is in Vanderbilt. This is going to be one of Vanderbilt. We have to win this game to make a bowl games. But I just don't hate. I don't hate Hawaii play here. I wouldn't mind a small play here. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm going to go back to when we did the SEC preview. You might recall I gave like just a sad stat about kind of the limits on Vanderbilt for their quarterback AJ Swan. And just a refresher, Apex is my quarterback efficiency measure, where 100 is average for all of FBS quarterbacks. AJ Swan, Vanderbilt quarterback, last season versus Hawaii, Wake Forest, and Northern Illinois. His apex was 177, so he's better than Caleb Williams. Against the SEC, he was a 52. I think that basically we're going to see the first number in this game, especially at home. I think especially since they kind of realized their ceiling, they know that in situations like this, as we saw last season, they really need to just run up the score, run it forward without any kind of a thought or analysis. But I think that template holds for basically what they're going to do this season. I think Hawaii is going to improve. I think actually our buddy Brandon talked us into maybe being a little interested in Hawaii over 3.5 wins. Does that sound right when we did the Mountain West Conference preview?
Mm-hmm. I think so, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's not like I just am dismissing Hawaii. They did improve, but I just think that, I don't want to say this is Vanderbilt's Super Bowl, but it's this one's circled on their schedule for like, we got to make hay when it's raining outside or whatever they say.
I don't know what they say in Vanderbilt. I don't think they say that, but I don't think that's what. I think they say something though. All right, second last game: San Jose State versus USC. USC laying 30 here. Weirdly, I only have USC as like a 14-point favorites. Again, my model seems to really weirdly like the Mountain West.
Wow.
I feel like that's all Fresno State. It's like all Jake Haener. This is the house Jake Haener built. Is literally giving me these advantages in these games. But I'm not touching this. This is going to be like the USC fine tuning game. I'm not touching it. It's weird that USC. I think this is basically an artifact of USC, and because the thing is, the last game my model saw was them losing badly to Utah, so maybe that could potentially be why. I didn't plug in the bowl
Mm.
results for my model as of yet, and I don't think I will because there's a lot of them that weren't particularly representative. So yeah, I'm gonna lay away from this. I'm not touching this. I just could they cover this? Yes, they're just gonna cover this if they want to. Like if you give me Caleb Williams over 2.5 passing touchdowns, I'll take that. But I'm not. I'm not. I mean, I'm gonna see the highlights of this game, obviously, but I'm not gonna. We're not. I'm not taking anything in this game.
Yeah, I'm obligated to watch because it's my school. What's interesting is, this game opened at 30 and it's barely moved. I think 30 and a half is what I'm seeing right now, my guy. A couple points, like I said in the USC preview. I think that this Caleb's going to be much better. You just see it when Riley coaches upperclassmen versus underclassmen. There's just a big difference of about 30 apex points. I mean, the upperclassmen they have bonkers numbers. And you add to that the fact that Riley has a lot more of his kind of wide receivers now. Not that the guys last year were stiffs, but you just have guys that are a little slighter and a lot more, combination of quickness and speed rather than speed and strength. It's to your point, it's kind of whatever USC wants to win by. I set the line at 38, but I don't like to play anything that's over 30, so I'm not playing it, but I'm expecting it to go over.
Mm-hmm.
With, the only thing I think it does is the backdoor cover.
Yes. And then last but not least, I have Louisiana Tech versus Florida International. The spread is 11. Now, I am using last year's numbers here for Louisiana Tech and Florida International. I have that as Louisiana Tech minus 11. And Louisiana Tech is
Mm-hmm.
massively improved, and
Yep.
Florida International has not. So give me everything on this. Give me all of the minus 11 in this game. I will take minus 11 gladly and be very happy watching this game at 9 o'clock Eastern Time.
Yeah, I am probably going to watch more of this than you would expect as it's going opposite my USC game. But I'm definitely betting this. I have bet it. Um, what really strikes me about your model having this at the line of 11 is if you go back to the Conference USA preview, you might remember I told the sad story of a guy named Parker McNeil who had an apex of 125 at the beginning of the season for Louisiana Tech. Then he got hurt. Then he just disappeared from social media, and we don't know what happened to him. His backups had an apex of 44. So that just drags down and totally dirties up the performance of this offense when they had what they want. I think they lost a good receiver. We talked about this maybe in the SEC preview. But I trust Sonny Cumbie, the head coach. I think that he will get it all together. They have Hank Bachmeier now as quarterback. Interesting. This is, the second Conference USA conference game in week 0. And it's also a matchup of two year 2 head coaches in McIntyre and Sonny Cumbie. So, if I just adjust your model, I like this alone. My line is, I have this at 17. Not quite enough of a margin for me to play Louisiana Tech against the number, but I'm definitely playing the money line. Money line minus 400 is just easy peasy. I love it. It's interesting too. There's just a disconnect here between, the point spread money line here versus the season win total. The season win total for Louisiana Tech is 6 and the over's getting hammered. FIU is 3.5 and it's even on both sides. It's these two teams are just in very different spots and, headed in very different directions. And I think that I'm going to go with the season win total market over the point spread market in this one.
That is it for this week. And games start again on Thursday, including the debut of Florida, and Florida will be there.
Is that the
Florida
headline for week 1?
Maybe. No. They're playing a nice 9 o'clock game. So I like later games. I don't mind that at all. But also, it's the debut of Matt Rule at Nebraska there on Thursday as well. So some interesting games to talk about next week, and I have my model projections for those as well. I actually think there's a lot of value in what the model would have said for this last year, and then you can oh, this team got better, this team got worse, and then you can just apply that. I actually kind of like that. But yeah, we will be back here. We'll be back here in a couple next week, and there will have been football played by then, and we may have takes about Sam Hartman at Notre Dame, and maybe I don't know, New Mexico State. If they win by like 30, I'll be very happy. I'll be cashing
If
it
they win by
5-1.
one, I'm on them. Any win, you're going to hear about it. Rest assured.
All right. We will see you guys next week with week 1 when the season finally starts kicking into high gear. See you guys.